Hey, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Full Frontal Living podcast. Or perhaps you are catching this on YouTube now that we are posting these live recordings over on YouTube. Regardless, I'm so glad you're here. My name is Lisa Carpenter, and today I'm going to be talking about the 3 biggest misconceptions that CEOs, entrepreneurs, driven, ambitious men and women have about how to protect their energy. Because what I find in my clients all the time is they're going about this backwards. So I want to dive into this for you, and I'm sure you're going to walk away with a new way to look at how to manage your energy. So number one is, one of the misconceptions many people have is that rest is lazy and unproductive. And nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, rest is one of my biggest success strategies, because what I want you to know is that a tired brain is not your friend. When you are tired, you are going to lack focus, drive, motivation. You are going to also be dealing with a lot of negative mental chatter. Now, you may or may not be aware of how much negative mental chatter you have on a daily basis. But I can tell you, when you are not rested, there's a lot going on up there, and it makes things so much harder to focus on what it is you want to get done. So often I find that clients are suspending having fun or engaging in activities that bring them pleasure until after work is done, almost like a reward. You get to play and have fun and rest once you're done. But the problem is, if you're anything like me or many of my clients, you might have discovered that your to-do list is never really done. And the only time that you're truly getting rest is when you crash into vacation completely exhausted, or you may find yourself constantly verging on the edge of burnout and feeling overwhelmed all the time. So if you want to protect your energy and manage your energy, you want to start looking at and being curious about how much more productive you could be if you were rested. So if you were to stop burning the candle at both ends, if you were giving yourself time for play, pleasure, fun, making that a priority, filling your cup first, energetically, that's going to fill you up and you're going to have more to give. But I want you to look at how doing all the things and always being busy in an effort to get things done, how that is actually draining your energy. So I know it might sound counterintuitive when we live in a world where it's all about productivity and achievement. But when you learn how to slow down and make rest part of your success strategy, you will become more successful. And you're also going to see the benefits physically and emotionally. And who doesn't want great physical and emotional health and well-being? Okay. Number 2, this is one of my favorite ones. This was something that was really hard for me to wrap my brain around. Being strong isn't strength. Being strong isn't strength. So often with the clients that I work with, they pride themselves on their resiliency, their ability to push through, their ability to be strong and get it done. And it ends up being a tremendous weakness to them, because when you're always pushing just to pushing just to get things done, it is constantly depleting your energy. Athletes, so I'm going to use the metaphor of an athlete because I'm also an athlete. I'm a professional fitness athlete. We know that when we go into the gym and we're pushing hard, the most important thing is the recovery that we get into afterwards. So I get to be strong in the gym, but I don't need to be strong all the time. I need to pull things back. I need to make sure, going back to point number 1, I'm getting enough rest, but I don't just push to push. So if I wake up one morning and I'm feeling exhausted, that might not be a great day for me to go to the gym and do a hard workout. I might need to dial it back. I might need to take a rest day, but it takes a lot of courage to not just push and be strong for the sake of being strong. So many of my clients, when life is lifing, shit hits the fan, that is when they double down on their doing, because that's what they viewed as being strong. It's kind of like, when you skin your knee as a kid and your parents are like, suck it up, just keep going. Instead of allowing yourself to have that moment of like, my knee hurts, this is painful, acknowledging how you're feeling, and then deciding to get up and move forward. So our strength is actually found in our ability to be vulnerable, to be honest with ourselves, to tune into what you're feeling and allow it to move through you. Now, that might sound like a foreign concept to you, and I understand, because most of my clients struggle with feeling their feelings. Nobody gets up in the morning and says, God, I hope I get to feel all my feelings today. When I was learning how to feel my own emotions, I was in a room of high achieving adults. We're talking like appellate court judges and police officers and teachers, lawyers, doctors, all of us sitting in this room, grown adults. And the room, around the room, was pictures of feeling, like little faces, right? With the feeling written underneath it, like in kindergarten, because all of us there had completely tuned out of what we were feeling. And this becomes a problem because we've learned to be strong and tough and suck it up. But in the process, we're pushing down all of these emotions. And emotions are like toddlers having tantrums. They will be heard, even if you don't want to hear them. So it's going to come out in poor behavior. It's going to come out in poor health. It's going to come out in habits that don't support you getting what you want. So I get that it's so much easier to just put on the armor and mask up and be strong and power through. But if you want to have more energy in your life, if you want to feel better, it's in having the courage to be vulnerable, to be honest with yourself, to find those people that you can talk to about what is going on for you and how you're feeling. It's allowing yourself to acknowledge what you're feeling in yourself. And that just takes time and practice. But nothing will drain your energy more, other than lack of rest, than trying to be strong all the time. That is exhausting. And I know you know this, because otherwise you wouldn't be listening to this audio on the podcast or on video. Number 3 of the biggest misconceptions about protecting your energy. So many of you believe that in order to have more, you need to do more. And that when you achieve the things you want, right? Again, it's that when, then you'll get to rest. So it's not about doing more to have more. It's about getting intentional about the most important things that need to get done and prioritizing those. So not everything in your life is going to move the needle forward. And if you were to take an honest inventory of your day and where you're spending all your time, and this is an exercise I have many of my clients do, I have them do an inventory of the day. Where are you spending your time? Very similar to men and women who are wanting to change their body composition. I'll have them do a food log so we can see, what are you eating throughout the day? No judgment, no shame, just data. Let's look at the data. So look at all the things you do in a day. How many of those things really are priorities? How many of those things are really moving the needle in your life towards where you want to go? Because you want to make sure you're doing things. You want to make sure you're taking action. Doing is a big part of achieving big, audacious goals in the world. And I'm here for wanting more, but I'm not here for wanting more if it's costing me my physical and emotional well-being. So I get really, really clear and intentional on what are my priorities, what are the most important things that I do that are going to move me forward. And then I watch the data. Are these things supporting what I want? It's not just about doing more. So again, if I go back to using the gym as a metaphor, you could spend 5 hours a day training. That doesn't mean you're going to get better results. Less is often more. So when I go into the gym, I'm very intentional about the exercises I'm doing. I'm very intentional about how I execute them. I'm very intentional about using progressive overload so I can see that I'm getting stronger every week, changing reps and sets. The same is true in life and business. You don't need to do all the things. You don't need to do more to create better results. You need to look at what happens when you do less, but you do less better, because now you're prioritizing and you're being intentional and you know the things that are going to create the results that you want. Okay, so those are some of the biggest misconceptions about that people do to get into about protecting their energy, but are completely backwards and are absolutely robbing you of your energy. So I hope this was helpful. If you want to hear more, make sure that you are subscribed to the Full Frontal Living podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, your listening platform of choice, or by all means, you can subscribe on YouTube. There's a button down below somewhere here. And if you are interested in learning how to manage your own energy in a better way so that you can be more productive, so that you can lead a more fulfilling life and have the time and the energy to do the things you really want to be doing, make sure you get on my wait list for my new energy audit program that is going to be coming out. It's lisacarpenter.ca/energy, and you will be the first to know when we release details. So thanks for tuning in, and I will see you on our next episode.